Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is your guy Keenan Lambert, and in this video we are here in La Havana, Cuba. Okay, I've been thinking about something. I've been wondering, why the hell is it that all my boys love visiting this crazy place? And to be honest with you, it's because we can embrace our masculinity here, because we can be what we want to be. Welcome to the video. Here we go. For me, as a man with some means, what that looks like is doing my absolute best to positively affect the tourism industry here. Okay, Cuba reorganized its economy, and instead of it being dependent on exports of sugar, right, before to the Soviet Union, cafe, rum, instead of those staples, what Cuba has done in the recent time is reorganize its economy and sort of bank on growing tourism.
After the fall of the Soviet Union, Cuba was forced to diversify its growing fields, as well as its economy, inviting in ugly tourists from all over the Western world, and later fully embracing Venezuela as economic partners under the system of socialism.
Now, although the passport bro movement has been, I guess you could say, somewhat controversial, it's led to a lot of men who live in urban areas using their dollars to go to other countries and support the economies of other countries via tourism, via extended living. And over the past couple of years, I've had the privilege of developing, I guess, maybe sort of a bit of an infrastructure for individuals that want to be in Cuba. Cuba, in my opinion, is the top place to enjoy yourself as a man in Latin America. Now for me, it's because my dollars can go further, because I'm able to party, have fun, I'm able to give away money to the locals, and it essentially goes for a good cause. Okay, it's not me sort of spinning the capitalist cycle back home in New York, and my dollars going back into a system and ending up in the hands of the hyper wealthy. Here, I know at the very least, it's going to help the poorest of the poor. Look, aside from me being altruistic, right, I have a really good time here. When I go out in Havana, it's the most fun that I have. I really enjoy the music there. Reggaeton here is different. It's called Riparto. You can look up Riparto Cubano. Amazing stuff, okay? They're combining salsa and sort of rap music and dancehall all together. It makes for some of the funnest dance music. Okay, maybe later on tonight I might actually go out and have some fun with some Americans who are actually here in town. But still, guys, Cuba is the most fun that you can have, and you can have fun for the low. Other destinations, unfortunately, I guess you can say they've become a bit spoiled. Oftentimes people blame tourists for destinations changing. I would say it's actually the inverse. I would say that locals sometimes get a little bit spoiled. They want to sort of take advantage of those frequent tourists that keep coming, right? And that sort of changes what a destination feels like. And I feel like that's what changed some of the popular destinations in Colombia, in Cartagena, Medellin. Okay, in Cartagena, the problem is people coming to beg you all the damn time, right? Whereas in Medellin, right, the problem is in some cases maybe you're paying astronomical prices, okay, depending on what you're into. Here in Cuba, the prices are dirty low, okay? So for some of you guys who watch me, you know that we did a pool party recently. The pool party was dope. Okay, I wasn't the organizer, but I was affiliated in getting Yumas to the party, okay? Getting tourists, getting gringos to the party. Now, there's gonna be more parties coming in the future. If you guys wanna get on that list, let me know. I'm gonna put my information below. I'll relay your information to the WhatsApp organizer, and we're able to get you guys in a row, get ready for these parties that are coming. Okay, partying in Cuba is different from partying in the States. Okay, you want a bottle at a club in the States, how much? $150 minimum. Here in Cuba, in some cases, depending on where you're at, $8. Can't beat it. In previous videos, I asked you boys to treat Cuba like a delicate egg. And for the most part, you've done that. However, some of you boys have been going crazy. So I won't say his name, but I'm thinking about a particular Puerto Rican brother. He was along with his beautiful, big-haired, I guess here they call her mulata, right? So light-skinned sister with this big, beautiful, well, it's dark at the roots, but blonde hair fro, right? Gorgeous, nice, right? My type, right? And they were going along for a year. And what did he do? Well, one night in Vedado, what he did was he got kind of drunk, and her friend was really gorgeous, and so he left her in the apartment, his regular joint, went over to her friend's apartment, and did adult things with her, okay? Now, to make matters worse, what happened after that was she ended up getting pregnant, right? And now he has a little U.S. citizen growing in the stomach of a woman here in Havana. I think of another brother from the Bay Area who was having a good time, he was partying, okay? He ended up meeting a guy, and the guy said, hey, you want to meet some beautiful girls? He said, all right, what's up? So he introduced this brother to a friend, a young lady, gorgeous, again, my type. Now they go back to his apartment. He's going back to his apartment to use the bathroom, all right? Use the bathroom, freshen up, and then go to another spot. And so then in the process, right, he's waiting outside his apartment in the hallway, talking to the girl while the gentleman that was with him, that he just met, used the bathroom. In that process, the man found his money, stuffed his socks with thousands of dollars. The brother was supposed to spend it, I think it was maybe about a month there. Stuffed his socks with thousands of dollars, okay? And then was attempting to rob this brother. Now the brother caught him, right? And he had a moment, right? Where it's like, okay, do I aggressively engage this individual and potentially get thrown in jail? Or do I just let this happen? Well, he chose the latter, okay? He yelled at them, he told them to get him out, get out of his apartment, and essentially he was without money. So there are fixes for that. Okay, oftentimes people say that when you're here in Havana without money, you're essentially screwed. No, if you have the apps, if you have Zelle, if you have PayPal, make sure somebody back in the States has your information, and make sure you have a solid VPN, okay, because some of them don't work here, okay? So have somebody in the States send your money, or maybe send their money to a contact here, and then you'll be all right, and they'll actually give you that money in cash. Social rules are different, okay? Out on the other end of the island, I had a brother that was dealing with a young lady, beautiful, gorgeous, right? She took him back to her very little rural area, and what did he do? Okay, he went to go ahead and disrespect the house and deal with the stepmother. Okay, meanwhile the father was there and his girl for that week was there. Y'all nasty. You know, there are different social rules here around being intimate with another individual. Cubans they're not so hung up on it, okay? Things happen. Right? And that's sort of their approach to life and their approach to sexuality as an adult. Unfortunately, that leads to people when they're in younger ages, when they should probably be focusing on other things, engaging in some very adult activity. Okay, something that I've noticed is some of you European boys have been coming here and doing, you know, messed up things. Okay, y'all need to be careful with that because you can end up in jail for a really long time here in La Habana. Now, I will be honest with you, because of the increased desperation at the time, okay, due to there not being a lot of money in the streets, there are more people who are doing things that they wouldn't have done under Fidel. Okay, Fidel was an iron fist. Okay, he understood that tourists were, you know, Cuba is opening to the world, right? So at that time, people were very careful with tourists. They did not disrespect tourists. Now is a different time. Now, unfortunately, very unfortunately, there is, you know, some cracks in that foundation. So people are taking chances that they wouldn't have taken when Fidel was in power. So just be careful, take care of yourself, and make sure you at the very least carry a money belt. Okay, let me show you what my money belt looks like. Okay, this right here. It doesn't look very masculine, but it'll save you from some situations here in La Havana. So where I generally stay is in an apartment building, or actually, it's actually more than one building, but here we have a community. Okay, so if you guys want to get involved, right, you guys want to be a part of the Havana Champions group, that's a WhatsApp group. If you want to stay here in the Hall of Champions in Havana, you let me know. Okay, a lot of times we have to travel alone because our friends don't want to book when we want to book. That's fine. Understand, when you get here in Havana, you will have other brothers who are traveling. If I'm not here, there's going to be other brothers here. And you guys can get together and tackle this city appropriately. Ultimately, boys, this is a place where you can come, you can blow up stress, and you can be what you want to be. But just protect the place, okay? Treat the place like a delicate egg. Okay, understand that your actions affect the next brother. Okay, please be careful. And I tell you, you do not want to end up in a jail here in Cuba. I had a friend, a local friend, right, who ended up, he's actually maybe about an XL t-shirt, right? About a year and change later, he's getting out, and I brought him some clothing. What size did he ask me for? A medium. You don't want to end up here in Cuba in jail. So stop your bad behavior. Let's seal it with a little drink of Santiago.